Zamfara State Commissioner of Police has pulled out of service. President Muhammadu Buhari says 2023 census will help tackle insecurity in the country. Millions of Naira stolen from Katsina State Government House. President Muhammadu Buhari vows to rescue all Kaduna train attack hostages. On business, the federal government says no going back on tariff hike on calls data. On international scene, 6 police officers killed during Sierra Leone protests. And in sports, Nigeria's Falconets target glory in Costa Rica at the Under-20 Women's World Cup. Hello and welcome to SPTV Newsroom. I'm Kutu Muhammad, now the news in full. The Zamfara State Commissioner of Police Ayuba Elkanah has retired from Nigeria Police Force after 32 years in service. The CP, who revealed this during pull-out parade and get-together party organized by the commander in his honor, said he retired successfully with honor and dignity. For more, Samira Ibrahim Dosara reports.
Accompanied by his wife during the event, expressed appreciation to the government and people of the state for cordial working relationship and called on other officers still in service to give much sacrifice and commitment, as well as to exhibit professionalism in the discharge of their duties to gain respect and acceptance of host communities. The retired CP therefore thanked all officers and men of the command, especially area commanders, DPOs, 2 squadron commanders and other tactical unit heads for support and cooperation during his regime. He urged them to sustain the established working synergy with government and people of the state, as well as other security agencies.
I have to thank the people of Zamfara State for their cooperation given to me during my tenure as the Commissioner of Police in charge of the Zamfara State Command. Part of my speech will be done later in the day. In order not to waste much of our time, I thank you all for coming. I thank you for this honor, and I pray to Almighty Allah to bless each and every one of you that witnessed this occasion. It is something that I will never forget in my life, together with my beautiful wife, Dr. Mrs. Selina Elkanah Ayuba, and my children. Thank you and God bless.
On his part, Zamfara State Governor Bello Muhammad Matawalli, who was represented by his deputy Hassan Muhammad Nasiha, congratulated the CP for successful retirement and prayed for success in his future endeavors.
The successes recorded with your support and energy, we have been able to institute new security measures that have significantly helped reduce bandit attack in various parts of our state. Despite the pocket of challenges here and there, normalcy is gradually returning across the state. We thank you very, very much. We have indeed earned the confidence of the people and government of Zamfara State. We therefore want to assure you that Zamfara State will remain in your home. We will be glad if you will continue to respond to our calls whenever we need your advice in addressing our issues. As you go into retirement after meritorious service in the Nigerian police force, we should all thank Almighty God for your accomplishment. You have done a lot as a police officer and in your private life. Your life is a source of inspiration, not just to the young police officers, but to so many in the larger society.
In his remarks, Emir of Oranyamoda, who spoke on behalf of the State Council of Chiefs, congratulated the CP for his breakthrough in Zamfara and pledged to continue their relationship with him even after the retirement.
I stand before you to thank the outgoing Commissioner of Police, most especially for his support due to the security challenges we are having. As we normally say, police is a friend, whether you like it or not, you must come to see police. The Commissioner of Police, for those that are not seeing very well, apart from being the Commissioner of Police, he is a prince because his brother is the Emir of Nigeria. so it belongs to the royal family. That's why it's a humble man. It's not everybody now knows that he is from the royal family. So on behalf of the Council of Chiefs, we have nothing to say much than to thank the police command, most especially the cooperation given to the traditional rulers whenever the need arises.
Samira Ibrahim reporting for SVTV.
President Muhammadu Buhari on Thursday vowed to rescue 31 hostages taken in a train attack and return them safe and unhurt. The president on Thursday in Abuja, while addressing the representatives of the families of the hostages, said that he has been informed that at last count, there remains about 31 people in the hands of the kidnappers, reiterating that his government will ensure the safe return of the remaining hostages to their families. The president commended the security forces on recent successes against terrorists and kidnappers, pointing out that in the past couple of days, the military had neutralized a number of terrorists and a number of hostages freed. He said that the country must take the fight to the terrorists and demonstrate that there is no hiding place for them within the country's borders, and each one of them will be hunted, pursued, and spoken to in the languages that they understand. He further said the government is under increasing pressure to end the violence, with the security agencies appearing overstretched on all fronts. The Katsina state government has confirmed the stealing of millions of nairas by unknown persons at the account section of the state government house. The Director General to the Governor on Media, Alhaji Al-Amin Isa, confirmed the incident in an interview with journalists on Thursday. Although Alhaji Isa couldn't disclose the amount stolen, he said that some of the suspects were already in the police custody undergoing investigations. Both sources familiar with what happened told newsmen that the money stolen was in the sum of 31 million naira. This is the second time such an incident is happening at the Katsina government house. In January 2020, a similar incident occurred when unknown persons allegedly broke into the office of the former secretary to the government of Katsina State, SGS, Mustafa Inuwa, and made away with 16 million naira. The office, which is located at the state secretariat, was said to have been broken into in the night, and some suspects were arrested a day after in connection with the incident. Those arrested included a security guard and 2 government officials working at the SSG's office. The Zamfara State Head of Service, Alhaji Kabiru Muhammad Gayari, has called on active citizens' participation into various social protection activities and programs in the state. Alhaji Gayari made the call in Guso on Tuesday at a one-day town hall meeting with citizens on their rights to demand for social accountability. The meeting was organized by UKAID-funded project Expanding Social Protection Inclusive Development in collaboration with the Zamfara government. The Expanding Social Protection Inclusive Development is implanted in the state by the Save the Children International. The head of service commended Save the Children International, UKAID, and other partners that have been supporting the state in various social protection intervention programs. In his remarks, the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Budget and Economic Planning, Malam Hamza Salihu, said that the meeting is aimed to create more awareness on accountable social protection programs available to the poor and vulnerable on social protection in the state. President Muhammadu Buhari on Thursday said the national census scheduled for next year will help in the fight against insecurity. He made the comment at the National Stakeholders Summit on the 2023 Population and Housing Census held at the State House in Abuja. According to a statement signed by the presidential spokesperson, Femi Adesina, the president said the deployment of digital technology will ensure the census data is more accurate and effectively deployed. He also said that the country's inability to conduct a population census in the last 16 years has created an information vacuum, as the data from the last census conducted in 2006 has been rendered out of date for planning purposes. It has therefore become imperative for the nation to conduct another national census to produce a new set of demographic and socio-economic data that will provide the basis for national planning and sustainable development. Population is a critical factor in a nation's efforts toward achieving sustainable development. People are both the agents and beneficiaries of the development process. President Buhari called for support of stakeholders, which include state governments, local government councils, traditional and religious institutions, civil society organizations, private sectors, media, development partners, donor agencies, and the general populace for the successful conduct of the 2023 census. In his remarks, Chairman of the National Population Commission, Nasir Isa Kwara, thanked the President for the approval for the 2023 census in April after the general elections, assuring that the Commission will work hard to make it credible and acceptable. Governor Bello Matawalle of Zamfara State on Wednesday lauded the Chartered Institute of Information Security for admitting the Minister of Communications and Digital Economy, Professor Isa Pantami, into its fellowship. This was contained in a statement by Alhaji Ibrahim Dosara, the Commissioner for Information, and made available to newsmen in Gusau, the state capital. He said that the Chartered Institute of Information Security well-deserved honor would improve Nigeria's cybersecurity sector. The governor said that the award was a well-deserved honor given to the professor who worked tirelessly in exalting himself as a distinguished gentleman of the highest order in the information and cybersecurity sector globally. The fellowship status conferred on the Honorable Minister is a clear testimony of the commitment of Professor Isa Ali Ibrahim Pantami to the information security for Nigeria and beyond. The honor is indeed a source of pride, not only to the professor and his family, but also to Nigeria and Black Africa in general. He is the first Black African to win such a fellowship from the Chartered Institute of Information Security. And on business, over to Rahama Ibrahim Dosar.
Audio Jungle.
Thank you, Muhammad Kusum, and now in the business news. Despite huge criticisms from stakeholders and consumers, the federal government has said there is no going back on the proposed 5% tax hike on telephone calls and data. Despite huge criticisms from stakeholders and consumers, the federal government has said there is no going back to the proposed 5% tax hike on telephone calls and data. When the hike is implemented, Nigerians will pay 12.5% tax on calls and data, 7.5% being value-added tax currently being charged. In a statement, Mr. Tanko Yunus, a media aide to Mrs. Zainab Ahmed, Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, said 5% excise duty on calls and data is a revenue driver for the government. Mr. Yunus said the minister gave the government's position at a stakeholders meeting organized by the Nigerian Communications Commission. Mrs. Ahmed, who was represented by the Assistant Director Tax Policy, Federal Ministry of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Mr. Musa Umar, noted the 5% excise duty has been in the Finance Act 2022, but has never been implemented. The minister indicated henceforth the 5% excise duty will be collected by telecom operators and payments made to the federal government on a monthly basis on or before 21st of every month. She insisted that there was a circular stating the planned hike which was addressed to the Communication Minister and other relevant ministries and agencies of government. And still on business news, the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries says Nigeria's crude oil production increased to an average of 1.183 million barrels per day in July 2022. OPEC made this known in its oil market report for August 2022, which was obtained by newsmen on Thursday in Lagos. The report said the figure showed an increase of 7,000 barrels per day when compared with 1.176 million barrels per day produced averagely in the months of June 2022. According to secondary sources, averaged 28.92 million barrels per day in July 2022. Higher by 216,000 barrels per day, months and months. It said crude oil outputs increased mainly in Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, the Kuwait, while production in Venezuela and Angola declined. The report said Nigeria's July Stanbic IBTC Bank Purchase and Managers Index rose to 53.2 from 50.9 in June, amid stronger inflows of new orders. It said this helped to underpin a further improvements in operating conditions in the Nigerian non-oil private sector. And that's all we have in business news today. Back to Muhammad Umakusum.
Thank you, Rahama. And now an international scene. Sierra Leone head of police said about 6 police officers were killed in anti-government protests in northern and western Sierra Leone on Wednesday. 2 officers were killed in the capital Freetown, 3 in the northern town of Kamakwe and 1 in the northern city of Makeni. Police Inspector General Williams Faye Salu confirmed.
Please don't forget, you know, who they suffer. For itself, you know, get one another part now, the
Sierra Leone's government previously said there had been deaths, but did not say how many people died as protesters threw rocks and burnt tires in the streets out of frustration at worsening economic hardship and other issues. The West African country, which has been struggling with rising inflation and a fuel crisis, imposed a nationwide curfew from 3 p.m. local time, 1500 GMT, in a bid to stem the violence. President Julius Maada said, as a government, they have the responsibility to protect every citizen of Sierra Leone, pointing out that what happened was unfortunate and will be fully investigated. In addition to the 3 bodies at the mortuary, a Reuters reporter saw another civilian body on the street in eastern Freetown. However, the police chief and spokesperson could not be reached for comments. Now in sports. The Falconets will start another quest for Nigeria's first Under-20 Women's World Cup title in Costa Rica on Thursday. The competition started on Wednesday with Germany losing to Colombia in the first match of the tournament. Drawn in a tricky Group C with Canada, Korea, Republic and France, Nigeria will battle with the Europeans in their first game at the youth competition. The age grade event, which was moved from 2022 due to the COVID-19 pandemic, is the 10th edition of the championship. Having participated in all editions since its inception in 2006, Nigeria is now new to the competition, which they emerged runners-up twice in 2010 and 2014 and have reached the quarterfinals on 5 occasions. But in the Central American nation, the Falconets will fancy their chances of going all the way to winning the title. Nigeria's flawless form en route to the competition further heightens hopes among fans that they would put up a good showing in Costa Rica after they won 6 of their 7 matches, drawing only away to Cameroon to book a final spot. Still in sports, World Football Governing Body FIFA is set to change the commencement date of the Qatar 2022 World Cup. The 2022 World Cup was originally scheduled to start on Monday, November 21, with Senegal playing the Netherlands in the curtain raiser of the tournament. Hosts Qatar were also scheduled to play Ecuador that same day after the 3 Lions of England faced Iran. However, FIFA has now made plans to reschedule Qatar's game to Sunday, November 20, 4 p.m. GMT. The change in schedule will not affect England's game with Iran, which will still take place the next day at 1 p.m. GMT as previously announced. And that's all we have in news updates for today. But before we go, a quick look at the major headlines once again. Zamfara State Commissioner of Police has pulled out of service. President Muhammadu Buhari says 2023 census will help tackle insecurity in the country. Millions of naira stolen from Katsina State Government House. President Muhammadu Buhari vows to rescue all Kaduna train attack hostages. On business, the federal government says no going back on tariff hike on calls data. On international scene, 6 police officers killed during Sierra Leone protests. And in sports, Nigeria's Falconets target glory in Costa Rica at the Under-20 Women's World Cup. Thank you, and that's the news. On behalf of the editorial crew, Head of News and Current Affairs Department, once again I am Muhammad saying thanks for watching. Do have a nice day and keep watching Standard Voice Television.